There's a lot of energy in the last panel, so I hope to continue that. So first of all, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Does anybody celebrate Thanksgiving? No? Okay. So I think for all of us, who have a December close, some of you guys might have it, Christmas is always a little messed up. So Thanksgiving is actually the real holiday. 2 days, nobody bothers you. Thursday, Friday. And today is TGIF. Everybody familiar with TGIF? Yeah, I can't see, the lights are really bright, yeah, so you'll have to be a little loud. And TGIF BF? Everybody familiar with that? Thank God it's Black Friday. So today is Black Friday, yeah? So in India, Amazon is launching the Black Friday for the first time. So lots of exciting things happening today. Welcome today to our event as well, which is the 24th event. I've only been in Dun & Bradstreet for years, but this is the 24th time we're having the top 500. So it's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for being here. So again, just to keep things going, we are all data guys. I'm a data guy, so when I have a free sample of people, I'm always happy to collect some data. So today is last day of November, working day of November. Everybody had a good November, made the numbers, made the revenue. So reflecting on November, just to keep it going, November 5th. Everybody remember November 5th? The US election? So how many of you really had it right, that the man who won will win? How many? Only these guys then. Oh, okay. Mr. Chandar too. All right. So not actually many, maybe like 10%, yeah? And November 20th? Who had it right? Also very few people, huh? Okay. So, and then two serious data points here. So, because we are talking about top 500, so two serious data points. I think my colleague Mukesh just referred to growth in economy, and I think other guys referred to it as well. So so one of the key things in this growth to getting to the numbers we want to as a country and all of that is that manufacturing should be a much greater part of GDP. So, so I sit on the FICCI panel as well, where, the target is that manufacturing should be 25% of GDP, and where it's been stuck way low. How many believe we'll get to 25% of GDP in the next couple of years? Nobody in the room? So then the next question is irrelevant. Mukesh, I think, talked about getting to a level of GDP, which is a wealthy country GDP. How many believe we'll get there? Very strong bunch to convince today. All right, so let me begin, guys. So as I said, it's a privilege to be here. I've got some prepared remarks. I'll go through that, but I'll add some spice and masala to it. As I said, this is the 24th year we are doing it. It's a great privilege to do. I think when we started this out in the late 90s, really, data wasn't so easily available as it is now. But I think Vipul may have touched upon it in his comments. When I think we started doing this 24 years ago, the number of parameters we put this whole thing together was just one. And now, we've got a larger number of parameters. There's so much data technology, which people have talked about here on the stage, allows you to kind of crunch stuff quite well and give a view. So I think all of this really leads up to what we all would really hope that each one of us is a part of, in terms of, I think Mukesh mentioned Amrit Kaal 2047, where, you hear different numbers. But we all hope that, the value creators we are talking about here are much bigger, not only in terms of size of business, but in terms of value. And, there is a lot more value addition they do to the GDP in terms of the country. And, not only do we become the third largest GDP, which we hope to become in the next couple of years, we become much larger in the years to come. So I think that's the base of it. And in terms of the value creators which we are talking about here, these are folks, I think Vipul mentioned that we are talking about people over the last 5-year period. We started with the evaluation of 5,000 listed companies based on 25 parameters, as I said, and not only the traditional financial metrics which we all think about, but also some of the intrinsic value these people have created and changing the landscape, the corporate landscape in India. But despite whatever you say, in terms of parameters, financial and non-financial, I guess the key one all of us look at is value created in terms of rupees, dollars, market capitalization. And there, it's a good number, good set of numbers to report. So the top 500 people we are talking about here represent more than 80% of the market capitalization of the stock exchange, which is close to around $4 trillion in value. It's amazing how, maybe I can digress a little bit to share some data back from the data I took from you, how concentrated the world is. So I'll give you some numbers and maybe I'll let them sink in. So, in Dun & Bradstreet, we have this concept of the Duns number. Everybody familiar with the Duns number? So. And, we've got close to now 600 million Duns. When I started 4 years ago, we were a little less than 500 million Duns. So in the last 4 years, we've added 100 million Duns nearly in our global database, our B2B database. The interesting thing is that, out of this 600 odd million Duns, maybe a little bit over 300 million are inactive. I mean, these are companies which have been bought out, companies who have gone bust, companies who have voluntarily shut down and things like that. And that happens. So even in India, as I say, when you look at the MCA database, which is the publicly available, something like 16, 17,000 companies will form every month, which is a very healthy number. But when you look at 10 years later, maybe 50% of them are gone. That's how business is, right? So some 300 million of these are kind of inactive, but we keep them alive in our database. So out of the 290 or so which are alive, and I'm going to keep you alive here on this one. So how many of these are listed companies out of this 290 million odd? Anybody want to hazard a guess? $100 companies? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. 10%. There's somebody at the back with the hand up. I can't see. 70, no, that's. He said, we started with 5,000 listed companies. So India is something like, a little bit higher than that. So in the entire world, there are something only like maybe 70,000, 80,000 listed companies. The concentration is so high. So even when I talk of that these top 500 are 80% of the market cap, I mean, that's the reality of the world. So in our database, for example, out of these 290 odd million entities with the Duns number, only around 70,000 are listed. And when you look at that, when you break it up, really only maybe, as you said, then only 7,000 or so will constitute 80% of that. That concentration is very high. But more interestingly, when you go down the base as well, more than $100 million. $100 million is now close to 800 crores, 850 crores. Even that number, can anybody guess how many companies on more than $100 million revenue globally, approximately? Only 150,000 odd companies. So the concentration of revenue, wealth, and all of that, it's not only an issue in India, but it's everywhere. And then I can go down the chain as well. The basic thing is that, everywhere in the world, there are lots of small companies which really add value, add employment. But here we are talking about only the large companies, obviously. And we have separate kind of events where we talk about the smaller part of the curve as well. So these 500 companies represent over 80% of the market cap. In terms of market value, which is quite astounding, that since we started doing this, this value has increased 63 times. So when I think about it, from all of us, if we went home today and we bought a DNB ETF on the 500 companies and we came back here maybe 24 years later, we would have made 63x, hopefully. So that's the way you got to think about this. Yeah, this time is very valuable. You got to all go home and kind of make the ETF and do that. So in terms of TSR, which is the number total shareholder return, 2.5 trillion rupees, obviously much higher than an average benchmark. So these are very serious numbers, right? These are very serious revenues being created, wealth being created by these companies. And in terms of looking forward, not only have they, as I said, we looked at the financial parameters, but we also looked at intrinsic value creation by these companies. This morning, Mr. Hari Bhakti also, who spoke earlier, and I we were talking to Mr. Kamath, KV Kamath, and he was in a good mood. So he shared a lot of stuff which I will not repeat here. But one of the things he shared was that when he started out in ICICI, and one of the promoters, he said, when asked what was the core competency of an Indian promoter, said that our core competency is the ability to win a license. So, so that's what the core competency was maybe 40 years ago. But today, the core competency clearly is not that. It's about, getting market share. It's doing all the right things, which some of my colleagues and some of my panelists have been adding value to in terms of, providing leadership, providing all the other things which need to go into making things happen. But really, the success of these companies is underpinned by three things, which is, innovation, and long as that may continue, and the 17,000 companies which get created in the MCA every month. I really hope that number increases. A lot more of them survive and add to the pool in terms of new things and innovation. Obviously, the key thing today's world is digital, and there's been a lot of talk about that. And the last thing was about leadership excellence. That's very key. This morning in this, where I was talking about Mr. Kamath, somebody has recently done a survey of 8,000 Indian companies, big and small, and gone around asking, what are the challenges, the key challenges you guys, all of us as corporates and other smaller companies have. And surprisingly, what I heard this morning is all the things we talked about today. The first one being talent, and obviously all of us struggle on that. Second, surprisingly, was this future of work thing, which, JLL was talking about just now, and the presentation up on the screen as well. And on the smaller end, it's really about the same things we talk about all the time. It's financing, it's governance, it's sustainability. And I think the last two bits, the SMEs really struggle with, which is where we try to provide a lot more guidance and support. Just they find it overwhelming in terms of all the bits around governance, making business happen, and the entire debate about sustainability and how the bigger boys want sustainability to be part of the entire supply chain, and the small folks kind of struggle with putting up with that. And obviously digital, and then of course managing risk, which again, there was a lot of discussion about earlier today. So in terms of, today, I think, it's a journey we at Dun & Bradstreet have kind of gone along over the last 24 years on this kind of story. Dun & Bradstreet obviously is a 180-year-old plus business, which is really quite remarkable when you look at it, that we have survived in this form and created a lot of value ourselves over periods of time, long periods of time. In India, we've been here, I think, like somebody said, we've been here close to 3 decades now. We had our own journey in building out our business. We had set out to build out CIBIL, which is the bureau. We were a founder shareholder, which we built and then we sold on. We set up a rating agency, which we still own 35% of. And then obviously our mother business, which is the whole B2B data business, where we provide, insights in terms of how companies can do more business, grow faster, focus on right markets and customer segments and channels. And obviously in terms of our technology and our solutions, we hope to get better and better and provide inputs in terms of, all the bits which take to put businesses together better, which is managing risk. And, I think one of the sessions earlier today, there was a whole discussion on risk, including cyber and everything else, and obviously on sustainability. So on sustainability too, we've done a good job. We've got ESG scores globally on something like 70 million companies. We got ESG scores on Indian companies, on 2 million Indian companies, and these are very serious numbers. So we want to build this journey with you. I would be very happy. We've done this for 24 years with your support. We'd like to do it for the next 24 years, and maybe we are all here when Amrit Kal happens and we can see the fruits of the labor of all the large companies and all of you guys in the room. So in conclusion for today, I'd like to extend my congratulations to all the companies and leaders being honored today for the exceptional contribution to India's growth and development. 63x is is no small shakes, is a real big achievement. As I mentioned, through innovation, which remains constant, leadership and commitment to value creation. I think the big boys always set a benchmark for the rest of us to follow. So in terms of, as I look through, in terms of 2047, as I said, we all hope that, we'll continue this journey, have another 63x, and hopefully the numbers will all add up. So thank you for your time today. I thank you for making the time to be here on a TGIBF, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully over dinner as well. Thank you.